Hello, welcome to the Hawthorn Cottage Podcast. Today is Sunday the 9th of July and this is episode 12. You're very welcome to the cottage. I'm Kate. You can find me on Instagram as Kate_Hawthorncottagecraft, on Ravelry as ARunnerBean. There's a Ravelry group for the podcast which is Hawthorn Cottagecraft, and that's all one word, podcast group. And I have an Etsy shop, Hawthorn Cottagecraft, although it's on holiday for a few weeks now over the summer. As I said, you're very welcome to the cottage. If you've been here before, you're very welcome back, and if you're here for the first time, I really do hope you enjoy yourselves and enjoy your visit with us. If you do like what you see, please feel free to subscribe and hit the little like button underneath. As we're talking about subscribers and subscribing, again I want to thank you for having subscribed if you've done so. And in the last fortnight we've had a little giveaway as a thank you because we had hit the 800 subscriber milestone a few weeks ago. And as a thank you, I was giving away this beautiful skein of yarn from Mama, who's Mermaid Yarns. And you can find her on Etsy, and I link everything in the show notes, which you'll find in the Ravelry group for anything that I've talked about and any shops that I discuss. So this is from Mama. It's her Donegal Sock. There's 400 metres. It's 85% superwash merino and 15% coloured Donegal nip. So there's lovely little tweedy pops in there, lovely bright colours. And her colourway is Wild American, which is very apt for the week that has been with Independence Day. So there was the skein of this and also a little brooch that Simply Spun here in Belfast created, a little bit of Donegal tweed, a beautiful little sheep. So that was the thank you for subscribing, and I had asked you to jump over to the Ravelry thread for the giveaway and to tell me what yarn your favourite yarn is to use, or what yarn you would like to use in the future. And we had 69 people who replied, which was fabulous, and it's been really interesting to read what everybody's interested in, what everybody's knitting with. And I drew just before I started to record, and it was it was random number generator, and it came up with post number 42. Oh, I don't know if you'll be able to see. You can see there. Mariel Knits. So well done, Mariel. You are in Michigan. So that will be winging its way to you. And Mariel said that she loves working with MCN, Merino Cashmere Nylon, and would love to knit with something that is blended with yak. And having knit the new yarn from Carol Feller, I can assure you yak is beautiful to knit with. So congratulations, Mariel. I will get that off for the post to you. Could you please PM me your address and details, and I'll get that away. But thank you to everybody who entered the giveaway, and again thank you to everybody who has subscribed. I said the last time, it means an awful lot to know that you're supporting this little podcast and what I do. Time to talk some knitting and some yarn, so I hope you've got your cuppa and we can sit back and relax and talk all things yarny. The last time I very excitedly told you about my upcoming trip to Rhinebeck, and I knew I couldn't start my Rhinebeck sweater cardigan, which I'll discuss a wee bit later, yet, because I have a cardigan on the needles that has to be finished within the next 2 or 3 weeks, and I really wanted to get on with that. But because the excitement is fresh and new, I did want to do something. So I actually have a finished object that you haven't seen as a work in progress because I was so eager to get on with it. And I know I need a sweater of some description, and I thought, well, I probably would need a hat. And I have a few hats in my wardrobe that I have knit, and I do have the Shetland Wool Week hat on the needles. which hasn't really got anywhere over the last month or so. But I wanted a hat that was specifically for this, and a few months ago Emily from Fibertown had very kindly sent me some Harrisville Designs yarn, and I felt there was nothing that could be more appropriate for Rhinebeck than something that is from America. And I'm not sure, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they vend at Rhinebeck, and the colours she had chosen tie in actually with the yarn that I want to use for my sweater. So for me it was a win-win that I could use her yarn for a project for Rhinebeck, and I wanted a hat. So I looked on Ravelry, as you do, and looked for different designs, and I wanted to be able to use the two colours, and the two colours Emily had sent were these. So it's a very deep navy blue and the mustardy colour, and the two colours are, the blue one is Canal and the mustard colour is East View, and it's a sport weight yarn. I can show you the label. It is their flywheel range, I think is the name of it. So flywheel. And as I said, it's a sport weight yarn. So I was looking for a hat pattern that is sport weight, that would incorporate the two colours. Wanted to use both. And I found, and I thought nothing could be more appropriate, I found this pattern on Ravelry as a free pattern. Trying to get it without the glare. As the leaves begin to fall, and hopefully they will be in full colour when I am there. And this was the pattern. So it's a colour work pattern, and I can recommend this one actually as a fairly good pattern if you're not used to working with colour work. This was a fabulous pattern for a free pattern. It was really well written, very clear, there were no issues with it, and the colour work was very straightforward but very effective. And to knit this I used my little zings, and it was the 3.5mm, which is a US 4, and then the 4mm, which is a US 6, and this is what I have, and I love it, absolutely love it, and I really love the crown of it. It is a slouchy hat. I will insert photographs of me wearing it. I don't know if I would get a very good picture of it here, but that's it there, and I'll show you some photographs. That really isn't styled in the best way. I look a bit like a pirate or something. OR. I'll insert photographs. You can look at that bit for the giggle factor, me wearing a hat. But it's a beautiful hat. I love it. I love the colours. I love the way it's knit up. It is a free pattern, so it started off with a little bit of garter and then a 2x2 rib, and then into the collar work, and it really was straightforward, and I'm actually quite pleased with my tensioning. I'm still not technically beautiful at knitting. I don't look elegant and graceful doing my colour work. It's use one colour, drop it, lift the other one, use it, drop it. I'm a English style knitter. I throw, and I just don't have the knack yet with the two hands and the two colours. And I do keep saying every time I do this, I did it with my Kate Davies sweater, I said it when I was working on the Shetland hat, and now working on this, I'm going to actually practice sometime using two hands, but every time I come up with a project that's colour work, I don't have the patience and time. It's just a case of, right, I just want to get on with it, and I'll do it my way, and I'll learn somehow how to do it properly, and I never do. But I'm actually quite pleased. That's the inside of it. So my floats are actually quite neat and they're not too tight. All the tails are there, they're all woven in, but I haven't actually blocked the hat yet. So I didn't want to snip just yet until I've it blocked. So I'm actually quite pleased with how neat it is on the inside. Brilliant project. It was designed by Eliza Jarvie, if that's pronounced right. And the name of it again is As the Leaves Begin to Fall, and I will link it all in the show notes. If you're thinking of a lovely squishy hat, this is the one to do. So that was my finished object, and I really am pleased with it. There's nothing really very much more I can say about it, apart from how delighted I am. And I have now started my wardrobe for Rhinebeck. So that was my finished object, my one and only. The last time, works in progress, I was working on my sock. It was the sock that I had started when I was going to Edinburgh, and I was using the Brit yarn birthday sock yarn that was dyed up by the Knitting Goddess in the shades of Ethel, and I had got, I think I was in and around here when I showed it to you. I put this in thinking that was roughly where I was at. I think I was somewhere here when I had shown it to you. So I had got the start of it done. And just as a recap as to how I was doing the start of it, it's a 1x1 twisted rib. It's 64 stitches, and I think I had done 14 rows of rib because I wanted to keep the colours. And in this sock I had told you that my plan was to match, which I don't normally do, but I wanted to match these. And one of the issues I knew I would come to with having a matching sock and keeping my stripes even, because I love the colours, I love the stripes within this, would be coming to the heel. And I had told you the last time that this time, for this sock, I was going to put in the afterthought heel. Not a true afterthought heel in the fact that it's not cut, but it's the one where you put in your waste yarn. And I had watched Leslie from the Knit Girls, her tutorial. I'm following to an extent Laura Linneman's afterthought heel pattern, sock pattern, and she is also one of the Knit Girls. But they had done a tutorial for how to put in the waste yarn so that I would keep my stripes, and then I would come back at the end and put in a heel, a short row heel of my choice, and I might try a new heel within it as well. So I got that done. There is a slightly brighter stripe here, and this is my waste yarn. So I got my leg done and I got that put in, and it really was incredibly easy to do that bit. Now I haven't obviously picked up the stitches yet, but this bit was easy, and I was able to knit down. And as I said the last time as well, these socks knit themselves. I just want to keep working on them. The yarn is Blue-Faced Leicester, I am saying. I don't have the label, do I? I have every label but... No, I do have the label. I'm vaguely organised. Yes, it's Blue-Faced Leicester in nylon. And this is it in this skein. The yarn's beautiful to knit with, and it was just knit, and I don't think I've ever been working on socks as quickly. I know I don't have the heel in yet, but still I literally keep knitting, and it's not let me finish the row, it's let me finish the stripe. So I got my rounded toe in, so that one is off the needles with the exception of the heel. And I got, last night I got the new, I think it was last night, got the new one cast on, and I am delighted to say I think we are matching. Even the stripes even help you get through the rib. The rib didn't feel tedious at all. And I'm working down the leg, and I have my yarn cut ready to knit in for the afterthought heel. It's actually the yarn that's in my shawl, and it's hedgehog fibres that I'm using for my afterthought heel. It's their Powers Court colourway. The shawl, just as an aside, is in the hedgehog fibres Powers Court colourway, which is this one, which is exclusive to This Is Knit in Dublin, and then this is from Dublin Dye Works. They're blue. But anyway, that was an aside. I have the yarn ready for my afterthought. As a family, we're going away for a few days in the next week, but my son James and I are getting the train down to Dublin tomorrow to start off the breakaway, and I wanted the yarn ready so that I can knit on the train and get the heel in. This is a basic vanilla sock, and I think it just lends itself to this beautiful yarn. I will definitely, as I said before, knit with the BFL from the Knitting Goddess again. It's a beautiful yarn to knit with, and I'm really pleased with how the socks are shaping up. I also worked not only on that sock, but I worked on Peter's sock. You haven't seen it in a very long time, and it had been lying in the car for a long time, and bits, there'd be a road on here and there, and it still probably doesn't look as though there's a great amount done on it, but I have got some done. I think the last time you saw this, I was there. Now, I may have been further down, I could be telling lies, but I think I was there. And this is the second sock, so at least I feel as though there is progress, and I have worked through to this. And I'm almost at the heel, and it'll be a heel flap and gusset for this particular sock, and as you can see, this is more my line in that they don't match, and he doesn't mind. They don't need to match. So I'm almost at the heel flap, and I really do want to get a push on making these. It's his birthday in September, and I would like to get them done for that. So this was a 68 stitch cast on for him, 1x1 rib. I'm knitting it on 2.5mm Addy needles, and I think my cable's a bit short for these, but it works, and we'll just keep going with it now that we're at this stage. So I knit 20 rows of rib for these. I think there's 20. And we're working down now, as I say, towards the heel flap and gusset. The yarn I'm knitting it in is Opal, and it's the Music Festival series. And again, I will link all this in the show notes. I think the colourway is Rock Festival. 9046, I think is the colour. So those are working away in the background. I'm going to take both sets of socks with me on our little trip and work on those. But the main project, I suppose, for the last few weeks has been my cardigan. And I'm knitting the Utu cardigan from Lane Magazine issue 2. And just as a reminder, if you haven't seen it before, you're new to us, it's the Lane Magazine, and it's a cardigan that's actually on the front cover. So I'm knitting this for Fibre East, and Fibre East takes place in England, in Ampth Hill, in Bedfordshire, I think, at the end of this month, the last weekend of this month. And I'm knitting it for there because I am helping out on Fine Fish Yarns, her stall, and I wanted to wear something made from her yarn. So she dyed up a gradient set for me of her core sock, and I have been working steadily at the cardigan, and I'm delighted with how it's turning out. I have got past the sleeves. I have the sleeves divided, and I'm working down the body. I'm now in the third colour, so we went from a very pale, you can see the transition as they have recommended, from the first to the second colours, and the second to the third. and I'm loving it. It's 4-ply, it's fingering weight, so it doesn't feel slow, but it doesn't whiz through obviously like a heavier cardigan, but it is lovely and it fits really nicely. The great thing about knitting top down is that you can try it on as you go, and it seems to be a really good fit. And I'm working down now, I think I've about another, it's to be 11 inches, just over 11 inches from the underarm. So I think I've about another 6 inches maybe to go to incorporate the last 2 colours. And then it's onto the sleeves, and I'll continue with the colour gradient to that. The colours that, these colours are very much me. I love green, and they're just getting that bit deeper. It's like a greeny blue. The next 2 colours that I have are these. These are the last 2 colours to go in. So this one will go next, and then this one to finish. And I think it'll just be really, really effective. It'll be lovely on the sleeves as well, because the sleeves, this motif appears again at the bottom of the sleeve, and it will be in this colour. So it'll be lovely to see it in a different colour. I'm knitting it on my 3mm Haya Sharps, which is a 2.5 US, and it's perfect for this job. And I'm just loving the way that it's knitting up. It'll be really nice to have a piece that is fine fish yarns to wear. I have socks and I have shawls, but I am on such a garment making kick at the minute. I was always a shawl and sock knitter, and shawls just aren't, I see beautiful patterns at the moment, but they're just not grabbing me enough to make them. I want garments, so this is fitting in with that. So that's what I have been working on in the last little while. The last time when I talked about Rhinebeck, I asked for advice on whether I should knit a cardigan or a sweater. I love sweaters. I'm knitting a cardigan, and there are other cardigans on the needles, scollies on the needles, but I am a sweater girl. But the majority, I think 99 out of 100 people who advised me for this said to knit a cardigan, that layering was the way to go for Rhinebeck. The weather could be warm. Mind you, it was quite funny because when American folk told me I might feel a bit cool because it can be cold, they gave me their temperatures, or the average temperatures, and what is considered cool in America, it's almost a heat wave here. So layering was definitely the way to go. A cardigan it was going to be. So I did come to a decision. I wanted to use my buckle yarn that I had bought in Edinburgh, and I looked through lots and lots of books, and I got the most wonderful gift in the post this week. Galisa, who I met in County Mayo at Atlantic Knitscape the first time I went, had heard me talk about going to Rhinebeck, and she had a copy of the Rhinebeck sweater book, and she posted that to me as a surprise, and I was blown away by the kindness. And I had a good look through it, and there's a few sweaters I would like to knit out of that. I really liked Isolde's pumpkin ale cardigan, but for the yarn that I had, there was nothing within the Rhinebeck sweater book this time that I want to knit. Although if I'm really efficient and get this one done, I might have time to knit a second. I dream. Anyway, I did find what I wanted, and because I'm using buckle, I've actually gone to a Kate Davies pattern, and I have decided to knit the Braid Hill cardigan. I'm just looking for a picture so that I can show you what it looks like. It's the Braid Hills cardigan. And I thought that would be pretty. It's not too heavy because the book holds sport weight, and it's not too heavy. But it had beautiful design. There's cable on the bottom of the sleeves, and there's cable just up each side at the front. And from what I can see, there's a button band but no buttonholes, which is lovely. She has a different way of closing her cardigan, and hopefully you'll see that as I knit mine. So I purchased the pattern, and please do not adjust your screen. Do not feel that you need to go to an optician to get your eyes tested or go to someone to get your hearing tested. What I am going to say is shocking. I have knit a gauge swatch. Now, how often have I told you that I avoid gauge swatches like the plague? I have never, ever, ever knit a gauge swatch. But I realised I had actually plenty of yarn for this because I had bought it originally for a sweater that took more yardage than the Braid Hills. So I knew I had plenty and I wouldn't run out, which has always been one of my main excuses for not doing gauge swatches. What if I need that last bit of yarn and I've cut it out and it's just a hassle? So I didn't have that excuse, and I thought I want to play with the pattern, see whether I like it. Cabling, I haven't done an awful lot of cabling. I have cabled, but not an awful lot, and I'm not of the no cable needle brigade. I need my cable needle. So I wondered how that would work, and I knit my swatch, and I think it is lovely. I almost feel like framing this. This is a monumental piece of history. The fact that Kate has swatched and has swatched to gauge. I hope you are impressed. I'm delighted. It means that I can now fairly confidently get this on the needles. I am holding off until Utu is finished, but at least I know I'm ready, and it literally can be just get it on the needles. So this is going to be my Rhinebeck sweater. It's the Braid Hills cardigan by Kate Davies, if you want to go and have a look at it. And hopefully over the next few months you'll see progress in that, and it will be ready in time. And the colour, as I said, this was the Harrisville designs for my hat, so it'll work really well. So this is what I'm knitting for Rhinebeck, and I have my gauge swatch knit. So that is really the works in progress. I am doing Tour de Fleece, but I'm really not as committed to it as I should be. I do try and do a little bit every day. It started last Saturday, and over that particular weekend, myself and the kids were down visiting my parents, so I didn't have my spinning wheel with me anyway, so I didn't get started until the beginning of the week. And I have tried to do a little bit every day, but it hasn't maybe been as much as I should have done, and I will continue to do it. I'm really liking how my braid is starting to spin up, and I'll insert a photograph here of how that looks. But and I would like to think that by the end of the month I will have the braid spun and maybe plied, and I'll have one skein of yarn out of it. It's been lovely to see what everybody else is doing. There have been a lot of photographs on Instagram of people's progress, and there are people just, I mean, they're on their second, third skeins already, and that is just so impressive. I am on the Corner of Knit and Tea team. If you haven't watched Laura's podcast, it's worth going to have a look. She does stunning spinning, and she has an Etsy shop where she sells her homespun, hand spun, and it's beautiful. So I'm on that team. I'm doing my best, but it's been good fun, and it's actually been good because it has given me the discipline. Even if if it's not as much as I should be doing, I'm still trying to sit down for 10 minutes maybe a day to do a little bit of spinning. But that has really been all that I have been knitting on. I have done some sewing this week, and this month I had decided that the Etsy shop for the bags is on holiday, and I thought I would try and get some more sewing done for myself. And I don't sew prolifically for myself. I have made skirts. Again, I don't feel skilled enough. I look at patterns and I think I would really like to sew that, but it's quite fitted, and I haven't tried adapting patterns that a lot of people seem to be able to do. When I look at other podcasts and other sewers, they can, because one part of me is one size and another part of me is a different size, and I'm having to blend sizes. I have never really tried that. So a lot of the things I've done have been, it's not that they're shapeless, but if you know what I mean, they're elasticated waist, and maybe they might have a waistband in, but they're not fitted particularly much. So over the summer I was wanting to try some more. Up here there's a little stack of fabric. One of the things, and I don't know if it's going to happen over the summer, one of the things I'd like to learn how to sew is trousers. I am short. I'm 5'2", and I have always found trousers really hard to get that fit really well. For a long time I had a big issue with weight and was extremely overweight for my height. So that was, it was virtually impossible to get decent fitting trousers. If they fit, they seem to think that, particularly in the bigger sizes, that everybody who was of a bigger size was also about 6 foot, and it was really hard getting trousers to fit. I remember having trousers that a friend loaned me when I was pregnant, and she didn't want me to cut them because she said she might need them again, and so I had to turn them up, and the turn up reached from my ankle. I had to turn them up on the inside, fold them up in. Basically the turn up reached from my ankle to my knee. I mean, I've always had difficulty getting trousers the right length and the right size. I'm fairly small waisted, wider on the hip, and if I got something that fitted on the waist, it just didn't work. So I would really love to make trousers, and at Christmas Peter bought me the tutorial, the classes, the online classes from Sew Over It, that I linked to as well in the show notes, for how to make trousers, and I haven't actually done it yet. I've got the fabric for jeans style trousers, and my friend Kira, who's Emerald Fibres, had given me a beautiful pattern for ginger jeans. So I've got all the patterns, I've got the fabric, and I'd like to work on those. But I also have loads of patterns that I've either bought or got free in magazines for tops, and I decided that this week I would try and work on a top. And I had this pattern from McCall's. It is M7127. And the other thing I've very rarely used is jersey or stretched material. I got an overlocker not last Christmas, but the Christmas before, and again I think I've been a wee bit scared of using it, but I really wanted, I've tried it a bit, and I had made a bit of a t-shirt last summer that is wearable around the house but not particularly much elsewhere. There's a cut under the arm where I went round it with the overlocker and cut a chunk out of it. So I wanted to work on that, and this was sweatshirt material, and I thought it would be worth giving it a go. So I decided the other night to try View B, and it was a really straightforward pattern. There were basically 3 pieces to cut out. There was the sleeves, there was 2 pieces for the crossover, which is at the back, and then just the front, which was plain. And I had bought very cheap jersey, very light sweatshirt fabric, because with not being particularly familiar and used to working with the overlocker, I didn't want to use expensive fabric that if I ruined it, I would feel really guilty. But it actually turned out really well. It was such a quick sew, a couple of hours in the evening. The slow bit's cutting it out. The rest of it came up really, really quickly. Now, forgive the fact that it's not pressed, but it came out really well. The crossover worked, and I got my sleeves in easily. There was no issue with the sleeves going in. As I say, it needs pressed. Now, the fact that it's jersey, I definitely have stretched it a wee bit round the cuffs. I would say it's stretched a tiny little bit and flared here. So I did stretch it, I think. I need to figure out how to avoid that pitfall. I think it's one of the main pitfalls of jersey. And it's not too bad up round the neck. But it was strange when I did put it on. I like it this way around, with a little vest underneath. It actually sits higher than that. It doesn't droop as low when it's on. And to me, it sits better that way. Whether it's because this has flared a little bit. When it's across the front, it tips out a little bit. Whereas when it's across my back, it doesn't. So we'll see. But the one thing that I was thrilled with was the overlocker. The overlocker was a godsend. It has finished off the seams really, really well. I took it very slowly. Most of the lines that I had to overlock were fairly straight. I had very few curves to go around. But the finish that the overlocker gives is just brilliant. In round the underarm, the sleeves, my shoulders. I just love the finish of it. That's the bit I could keep looking at, and I think it's just because it worked. And I'm really pleased. So there definitely will be more of this particular pattern, I think, made. It's a great one for practicing jersey material on, and I would certainly recommend it from that purpose. I have other patterns. That was the ginger jeans that I talked about. And I noticed, I think Isolde made these this week. It was in her Insta stories. And the other one that I may do is this one. It's a blouse by Deer and Doe. The RL blouse. And if this one works, I have fabric that I will make, what is the term that everybody uses, a wearable muslin. I have fabric that I'd got with the hope that it would be a blouse at some point, and I'll use it to make my wearable muslin, and then if that works out, I'd like to make this one in fabric that will coordinate with my Rhinebeck outfit, my Rhinebeck cardigan and hat. So this is definitely on the cards as well, and hopefully in the next week or two I'll get at least one version of it made, and maybe when I've made it I'll be going one was enough, but I'm going to try that one and see where that works. So that's kind of the sewing that is on the go at the moment. It's been lovely just to have no pressure and no deadlines and no what's the word? I feel that I have to make things for my shop, and I enjoy making bags for my shop, but I think it had got to the point of the year where I needed a break from it, and to do things like this has kind of given me that little buzz again. So I'm enjoying working on those and seeing where that takes me. But that is really all I've been working on over the last few weeks, and summer is in full swing here. The kids are off, and the past week, I say, we visited my parents and we celebrated the 4th of July. The 4th of July in this house, I jokingly call it the loss of Independence Day rather than Independence Day, because it's our wedding anniversary and we celebrated 20 years this year, and we decided to have a 4th of July day, and it was brilliant. It was a lovely day. We had a bit of a party just amongst ourselves. So we've been doing that this week, and going to the cinema. We went to see Despicable Me 3, and it's been a lovely little week of summer activities, and as I said, we're going away for a few days and that will continue. But the knitting always goes with me no matter where I go, and hopefully that will continue over the next few weeks as well. And I would hope that I will be back with you again in 2 weeks' time. With the summer, that can vary, and I don't want to feel any guilt over maybe missing a few days, but I should be back with you within the next 2 weeks before I head off to Fibre East. And if I don't, I will certainly be back just after Fibre East, and I'll tell you about all the adventures there and hopefully get photographs and footage. But I should be back before that. I hope everybody else is having a fabulous summer, whatever they're doing, or winter, depending on where you are in the world, autumn, winter, and that you're getting time with family and friends and getting time with your knitting, which is vital. And hopefully I'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Enjoy your knitting.